took some moments to groan to the surface.
Gruwerum. Dugurwer. Du ergotgwer. Do you, der got, er. Gruer.
Snacks?
The man put his palms together in a look that said clearly, I am here to help. It said, as clearly as a silent hand gesture could say. I am attentive and helpful with everything that I have. Grizzle responded to the silent statement by leaning back, and then rocking forward. Then the man said with total conviction and full commitment. Both his hand gesture and his voice leaned in to meet Grizzle's inquiring expression. Yes, sir. The man's voice was clear, polite, and helpful. We do indeed have snacks. And then the man made a humble bow. Grizzle remained silent and still for some moments. Then his voice built up to working speed again.
Guelwooder.
What? Snacks?
For trolls who care about how they snack, we have Mama's Coarse Grit Crunch Dems. There is normal salt and best old finds. 2 silver coins for each bag. When the sun is out, fully as today, the moons and the stars all know better than to even try to compete. It was just as well, then, because if you could have seen the expression of the stars and the moons, in that moment, there would have been shock. Billy was standing just behind Easily, but Easily dared not to look back at her. Easily hadn't been doing anything, so a momentary freeze of expression shouldn't have been much different from normal lack of motion. But, of course, as an actor, Easily knew better. Easily was very much aware, as much as the moons and the stars were, that Easily had been startled. Just for a moment, but Easily was sure as well that Billy would have noticed. That was something to contemplate on later. The elderly man at the counter was not elderly. He was Tinkle.
Hello. Welcome to Wild Art Fly Free. We hope that you will join us, but we do understand if you are unsure. You see, while most of the internet is full of messages promising truth and certainty, we are offering the opposite. Here at Wild Art Fly Free, we have chosen for our goal, creativity. And we have come up with a definition for creativity. We say that creativity is the path from chaos to perfection. So, based on that saying, then, to have creativity, we must start in chaos. Now, then. For each new video, we start with the chaos that is a collection of ideas and bits from earlier videos. That is the chaos. Then, after we have collected and examined our chaos, we will then try to find a path through the chaos to find the perfection. Join us if you want to help us with our experiment that we are building from chaos and uncertainty. These are the videos where we build a world out of random stories. And, well, first we build random stories out of, well, anything. This involves a lot of chaos, so Bunny and Owl have nominated me to explain it all. Good luck to all of us. First we gather ideas and facts about today's focus. We gather bits from previous videos that relate to today's topics. After we listen to what we know so far, then we will think about how those bits fit together. What makes sense? And especially what will make sense in a story? That's sort of the job of story building, isn't it? How does all of this random chaos make sense? We don't like the chaos, so we try to arrange it into some sort of patterns that we can deal with and even agree with. We build stories. Okay, there's a lot to take in here. Certainly there's too much to base one story on, but that's the point. This is the point in our world building process when we are just gathering chaos. Well now, we have certainly been building chaos. Okay. The thing is, that most of the people who start watching this will be new to us and won't know any of the background. So, we sort of need to include enough background so that people can understand what's going on. Should we just build a set of bullet points to describe the basics, such as, that the Vitgliv are dragons and the Vilglaya are humanoids who serve directly under the dragons? Then, after we have lots of chaos, we try to make sense of it and even think about finding our path through the chaos to whatever perfections make sense.
Dragons. We have a lot to think about, and of course so does Tinkle. His bosses work for dragons, but Tinkle is not at all sure whether the dragons are the type of people that he wants to work for.
Okay. At around day 380, our shy junior spy, Tinkle, is in Shattergrog. By this time he has learned some basics in spying with the human who is training him. Her name is Rookie. She is a Vilglaya spy. The Vilglaya are the humanoid servants of one group of dragons called the Vitgliv. Rookie and Tinkle are seeking out the secrets of Shattergrog politics when Tinkle meets Fogdancer. They have met Doranter and have worked out that he is a Jeepkrians. The Jeepkrians are an extended family who specialize in politics and are often corrupt. So, while in Shattergrog, Tinkle forms a plan to get Fogdancer away from Doranter. He wants to keep his plan a secret from his Vilglaya companion, Rookie, since she works for the Vitgliv and would likely support handing the girl halfling to the dragons.
Tinkle's journey away from Swanford will be all about secrets. The big secret will be about Easley's relationship to the dragons. Tinkle has fewer choices than he ever had before. He has almost no options about where his life might lead. He is training to be a spy, and Shattergrog is a poor, farming community. Their main crops are flowers used for alchemy. Dragon Brew is maybe a 10-day walk from Shattergrog. From Thug's random word drop, we are thinking that Tinkle's time at Dragon Brew might be at a restaurant or tavern. But there is something strange about the place. Also, the words suggest there is something about poison. Tinkle is really interested in what Easley's secret is. He knows it has something to do with dragons, and that for some reason, Easley must be important to the dragons. But why?
So then, young Easley, the mysterious halfling, was a Tweedrill for most of her childhood. Tweedrill are humanoids who were kept by dragons when they were children. The Vitgliv love the Tweedrill like pets. The child people remind the dragons of their own children, but just a lot cuter. The Tweedrill are kept as a secret. You would have to ask a dragon to learn why. Okay, so Easley really needs to keep her past as a secret.
Does Eastleigh regret her past? We know that Eastleigh has reservations about her current situation. The Vilglia keep an eye on her, somehow, and make sure that she is safe.
We have decided that we are going to split our characters into different groups and send them off into different directions. In our next videos we will catch up with these small groups. Well, now we have an interesting group who are walking away from Swanford. They are walking south and have been traveling for more than a week. Eventually, south could get them to the port city of Gurlad, but that is a long way from Swanford. In the lead, we have our mysterious halfling Easily. Easily is small, but she is never afraid. Well, she hardly ever shows fear. But, now that I think about that, Easily is a trained actor. How she acts and how she feels might be two very different things. Just behind Easily is another female halfling, but this one is noticeably older than Easily. She is named Billy and she is very animated and quick to show her emotions. Back in Swanford, Billy was known to be a prolific gardener who was also fond of wild animals. She also worked as a bartender and everyone liked Billy. No one took her very seriously, but everybody liked her. Walking just behind Billy we have a most unusual pair. Grizzle is a troll. He is fairly short for a troll, but he is still a troll. You can certainly sense Grizzle's trollishness as he walks with his partner, Kudiak, who is a kobold. Our group will return through some of the towns that we have heard about in earlier sessions. If you haven't watched those, don't bother. We will review them, and then, what we do today will be far more interesting anyway, I am sure. So? What do you think? Easily is running away from her past. Does she have a plan? Does she have a goal? Might she be running to find Tinkle? The Vilglia dragon servants are always watching over her. Yes, it's for her own protection, but still. An interesting question that Easily was determined to learn was, is Billy working with the Vilglia? Grizzle and Kudiak are two members of the Halikan cult. How loyal are they to their cause? What is the Halikan cause? Other to exist and build a bigger following. The Halikan are competing with the Haujering. They had once been the same group but had split because of religious differences among the leaders. The biggest difference now is that the Halikan have included goblins to become members and now kobolds and trolls. Vic is 40 days south of Swanford. We should find some villages closer along the way. We can do the random thing. At the same time we can get to know our characters better.
Okay, then. We find ourselves sharing a moment with the female halfling adventurer, Easily. The beak that had smashed through the window was the size of a short sword, but thicker of course. And of course, it wouldn't be as sharp as a short sword. Easily felt her own eyes rolling at the thought. She was rating the threat of the giant bird's giant beak to a short sword. Well, that's the sort of thing your mind did in the moment, wasn't it? Trying to make sense of the senseless. It was a giant chicken, climbing the side of the castle. And for some reason, the giant chicken was focused on Easily herself. That was the real interesting bit. Why would a giant farm bird become fixated on one female halfling? Easley closed the door behind her as she moved from the bedroom to the hallway. Even when Easley was sure she was out of sight of any windows, she still knew that the Behemoth was still out there, gripping the castle wall, trying to find a way inside. The magic that had brewed forth the monstrous farm bird had also brewed forth the animal's history. The name which Easley was sure had never been heard before this morning was now common knowledge along with several stories of previous encounters. Yes, everyone has heard of the Behemoth and knows what it does, but before this morning, no one had. The memories came with the bird. The knowledge and understanding of the bird was not here yesterday. This flapping, pecking reality was all being built from magic. Easley was sure of it, at least, at this moment. How long would her understanding last? How long would it be before this Behemoth bird was permanently part of Easley's own history? The magic that created the Behemoth was still bubbling and developing and reinforcing the giant bird's existence. And every window that the bird broke, and every stone that it knocked out of place. And of Kuwos, the dog. The unfortunate hound that lay bleeding on the cobbles. It really reinforced the bird's existence. And as it was with this sort of magic. If the bird were to survive, the dog would perish. But if the dog could return to the reality of a few moments ago, if it could wake from its current nightmare, then the bird would stop being. Such a huge magical price to pay, though. That is the interesting question here. Someone must have gotten into someone else's magical cache. To spend this much pure magical belief on a giant chicken. This was the work of a fool. So, okay. Tinkle is a shy gnome. Gnomes are not shy, so a shy gnome sounds like an oxymoron. For some reason, women find a shy gnome irresistible. As it turns out, being irresistible to women is a very valuable trait in Tinkle's career. Tinkle is a spy. Tinkle himself doesn't usually enjoy being attractive to women. As a shy gnome he would much sooner not be noticed. While he was training, Tinkle worked hard at practicing different personas. He has learned to disguise himself in a number of different personalities. Frustratingly though, he is always a shy gnome and he is also always irresistible to women. So, now. Tinkle has now developed into a promising junior spy working for the Vilblia. This is a group of humanoids who are loyal servants to dragons called the Vitbliv. The Vilblia have set Tinkle's main task. He is to learn about the cult called the Holy Kin. Secretly Tinkle has set his main hobby as learning about the Vilblia, his bosses. Now Easley, along with Billy, Grizzle and Kudik have come to Dragonbrew. Tinkle had worked in a kitchen in Dragonbrew while he was first training to be a spy. He will now return to that disguise while he is in Dragonbrew, but now he would be a chef in training. Of course he is still a gnome and he is still shy. Should Easley sign up to help the Vilblia spy on the Holy Kin? This would be an interesting twist on her main goal, which was to get away from the Vilblia. And then, if Easley decides to stay in Dragonbrew, what happens to Billy, Grizzle and Kudik. Will they want to stay in Dragon Brew as well? There must be some people in Dragon Brew who are important to the Holy Kin. Why else would Tinkle stay there? Okay. Let's go with that. Easley, Billy, Grizzle and Kudik are staying in Dragon Brew. At least for the next interesting plot points. And now, this is where we are looking for more ideas to move forward. What would Easley find to do in Dragon Brew? Will Easley and Tinkle get back together? How serious could that get? What happens when Rookie learns that Easley has been associating with Tinkle? Does anyone know what a woman might think? Also, who are the villains in this story? Do we have any themes to play with? Will there be any important character arcs? Please leave your ideas in the comments.